It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Medaille Mavericks head women's bowling coach, Coach Jeff Walsh. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college bowling?
Well, I've been involved in bowling for a long time, so I've done a lot of coaching from a individual standpoint, and the opportunity came up for me to interview as an assistant coach at Medaille. So I ended up having that opportunity and decided that was something that I wanted to kind of get into to continue in the coaching down the coaching path that I was going. So I started with them as an assistant coach and been going for the past 7 years.
What was the transition like from going from working in a pro shop to getting into college coaching?
I would say it helps me from a understanding bowling equipment, understanding lane play, being involved in the bowling side of it through the pro shop. It's educated me, from that standpoint to understand the bowling equipment and things like that. So I'm fortunate enough to still be in the pro shop business. So it helps me, stay current with all the equipment and everything too. So
How is that like, obviously working in the bowling factory while also being a collegiate coach?
um, again, I think it's beneficial from an education standpoint for me. Continue to be learning about the equipment, having the ability to I'm on staff with Brunswick, so I get to throw all the new equipment, and it helps me be able to have that info for my players, and then kind of pass it along to them. And then I use that on our coaching side to educate them on what these bowling balls do in the lane play.
What was it like, obviously being an assistant and then getting promoted to become the head coach?
It was pretty exciting. It was kind of one of those things that was somewhat unexpected. I mean, we were kind of going down the path of me taking over the program at some point, but I think it happened a little quicker because our head coach, she's an administrator of the school, Laura, and she at the time big into golf, and they decided that the best thing was for her to move into the golfing program because that was kind of her background. So she took over the golf, and then they offered me the head coaching position, um, which again was kind of one of those things I sort of knew was coming, but it was sort of unexpected because it happened a little quicker than I thought. So
What was that feeling like when you did get announced to become the next head coach and take over the program?
I was excited. I was nervous. I was sort of overwhelmed because I never really had to worry about the backside of it, the all the internal stuff that goes on, um, the paperwork, the making sure that all the players have all their medical stuff taken care of, and just my job was as the assistant coach. I was the bowling guy. I was there to teach bowling and educate the team on the game. I didn't necessarily worry so much about the backside of it. And then suddenly here I am. Congratulations! And now it's time to learn everything. And I would say very overwhelmed to start, but once I just started taking each layer and kind of getting through it and learning it, it's now it's kind of second nature. I mean, it's one of those things that once you learn it, you kind of know it. So
In 2018, what was it like having the best season in program history?
yeah, it was exciting. when I started with the team, we were, I would say, thinking about making, change and kind of rotating the way we did things. And we had an okay team. I had maybe one or two kids that were like quote unquote bowlers. And so, to win the conference championship that first year was pretty exciting. And then as we recruited and, we kind of turned things around and moved the program in a little different direction, to see the success that we had from, the work of getting the recruits and building the team and changing the philosophy of us at the school. I think it was really exciting. It was really cool to have happen.
Coming off of that 2018 amazing season, what was it like preparing for the next few seasons and making the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, we had the ability in 2019. Our conference had the automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. So anybody that wins, our conference championship has the ability to then go to the NCAA tournament. So that was the first year that we had that bid, and it was kind of a nerve-wracking year because we knew we were pretty good, came off of a really good season, and then now here we are, conference championships, NCAA bid on the line. It was pretty nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. But knowing that, and now like every year preparing, the biggest thing for us is we prepare for conference. Every tournament, everything we go to is all in preparation for finishing up the conference championships, because that's our lead into going to the NCAA tournament, which is ultimately what our end goal is. So and it's been exciting last 3 years, obviously, with the exception of the COVID year. We've been able to go the last couple of years. It's been pretty exciting.
Of course, after the 2019 season going to the NCAA tournament, what was it like preparing for the next 2 years to make it in 2021 to open up to defend Nebraska?
Yeah, that was kind of our first year in 2019. We played Arkansas State, um, and it's a mega match. So the first match is a traditional team game, and then the second round is a 5-game Baker match, and then the tiebreaker would have been a best of 7. So my philosophy was we have to obviously win one of the first two to be able to get to the best of 7, because anything can happen. And we had Arkansas State on the ropes, and I think we were young. We didn't quite grasp what was going on, and we kind of let it slip from us. And it was a learning experience for me that I would never allow that to happen again. From a coaching standpoint, I think I got a little caught up in the moment. We missed a couple of things, and before you knew it, we were out of the tournament. So to go to the next round to go to Kansas City, and we pulled Nebraska, which is at the time ranked second in the country, and we were the 15 seed in the tournament. I just made the same thing. I told the ladies that we just have to win the first game. We got to win the traditional, and then from there anything can happen. And we did. We bowled great. And then the lane started to transition, and I think we got a little trapped up in the 5-game Baker match. And they beat us, and it went to the tiebreaker, which is the best of 7. And I'll take my chances in a tiebreaker, in a best of 7 match all day long. Anything can happen. And we got focused in, and man, oh man, they bowled great. And it was such an exciting moment in time. We were the only match still going. All the teams were watching, all the coaches were watching. I've been told that it's probably one of the biggest upsets in the history of NCAA bowling. if not the biggest upset from the people that are kind of historians, and a 15 seed knocking off a 2 seed. Unfortunately, I think we made them a little aggravated because they ended up going undefeated from there, and they won the national championship. So sorry to the rest of the teams that we made them mad, and they ended up winning the national championship that year. But it was exciting, and that's all you can hope for in competition, is to have a good time and enjoy it.
Of course, what was that feeling like? Obviously, knocking them out of and defeating a number 2 ranked team at that time.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, it was our biggest moment in program history at that point. And we didn't have a very long turnaround time until our next match. So you have to do media at the site. We have to have time to have some lunch, and I think we had about 45 minutes. So we went and did the media, and then I got the team gathered back up. We enjoyed like every minute of it that we could, but we also knew now we have to go against Vanderbilt, which I think at the time was either third in the country. We knew we had to go against them. So I think we enjoyed it, and then we tried to refocus. The hard part was that the first match was so kind of taxing on us. It was so mentally draining that I think we were kind of in a bad position no matter what, and Vanderbilt ended up beating us and put us into the losers round, which we ended up going against Nebraska again, and we almost got them again in that round, but they ended up getting us in the best of 7 again. So, but you know what? You take those chances. So,
what does a typical game day look like for bowling?
Typical tournament weekend, looks like for us, obviously, day before, like we're leaving for New Jersey this week. So we leave Thursday. We'll get in a little bit late, probably about 10 o'clock. Preparation for us today, that night is have a team meeting, talk about things, about how we want to go about tournament. Friday morning breakfast, we all meet for breakfast, head over to the bowling center, give ourselves a little bit of time to kind of decompress in the morning, and then the team knows that once we go to the coaches meeting, then they start their warm up. They do their stretching and stuff like that to get prepared. And then from there, it's just after coaches meeting, we get our 12 minutes of open practice, and then we go to our starting pairs, and it's another 10 minutes of practice from there. And then it's, depending on the tournament, it's 5 games, either traditional or 5 games of Baker, and then usually on Sundays it's the best of 7s. So our preparation each day is the same. It's kind of the same process: breakfast, get to the center, get warmed up, focus on the things that we need to focus on. And then afterwards, we make sure we go have a good dinner and refuel for the next day.
What, of course, is Baker style bowling?
Yeah, Baker is it's, instead of bowling like a traditional team game, an individual team game, it's 5 players bowling individual frames that make up one whole game. So like your leadoff bowler will bowl frame 1 and 6. Your second bowler bowls 2 and 7, 3 and 8, 4 and 9, 5 and 10. And then we do that 5 games, which make up the totals like one traditional game. So that's what Baker is.
Who are some of the teams that you compete against each week?
It varies. We try to go to all the tournaments that we can that have all the top teams. We'll bowl. This weekend's tournament is 33 teams, and I would say 20 to 22 of the top 25 teams are going to be there. So you have McKendree, you have Nebraska, Ark State, Sam Houston, Vanderbilt, you name it, pretty much this tournament, and they're at it. And we use this as a as a measuring stick to kind of see where we're at, what do we need to do, what do we have to do to become, just a little bit better. It's a tough tournament for us because we're a small Division III team playing against a lot of big D1 teams. But when we beat them, it's certainly, good, and it helps our program. So for us, this is just a great tournament to be involved in. We're thankful we get the invite, and we use it as a challenge.
Of course, as you talked about, what is that like, obviously being a D3 team going against some of these D1 and D2 teams at tournaments?
Yeah, it's tough. We have such a different level of recruiting. We have a different level of how we're able to get on the lanes and practice. We just have different levels. The Division I level, they're allowed to start their season a little earlier. They get more time on the lanes. They can recruit a little different than we can. But I don't really look at it that way. Like I kind of look at it as, yeah, we're D3, but we're only D3 from a conference standpoint. We beat a lot of D1 and D2 teams, and I feel like we're competitive, and I want our program to mimic a Division I program or a really strong Division II program. So we focus on what can we do to be prepared to play these teams and compete against them, even if we're not necessarily beating them, but we're battling and we're competing against them, all the way to the end. I think that's kind of the mindset that we've taken is we are Division III from a from a school standpoint and from a conference standpoint, but we're not going to back down from anybody. We want to play all the best teams we can because we feel that we're competitive and we can beat them.
Of course, as a head coach, can you talk about, of course, the culture that you started to build for Madrid?
Yeah, when I started at Medaille 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago now, our bowling program was in a little different state. So, my daughter had at the time been bowling Division I, and I kind of had saw how that side of it had gone, and I sort of pushed myself a little bit with the school to say, hey, we kind of got to change things a little bit. If we want to kind of change what we're doing and how we're doing it, there's a lot of things we have to do. So, we set forth on that path. We put together a culture that I think has been pretty good. We try to have as much fun as we can. We try to, make it competitive. We try to be as positive as we possibly can. Like I tell the kids all the time, players on the team and players I'm recruiting, it's not all puppy dogs and rainbows. There's tough times. There's challenges. There's demands. You're a student athlete. You've got a lot on you. But we do the right things. We're trying to recruit the right kids. We're trying to recruit the right academics, most importantly, so we can build a good culture. We have strong academics, and we have strong, athletes on top of it.
Of course, what does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to compete in bowling?
Yeah, it starts at it depends on where it is. Like locally, I get out to as much local stuff as I can. High school tournaments, junior tournaments. I try to get to all the stuff locally that I can. Start kind of building a little bit of a database of the local kids. Nationally, I tend to get out and recruit at Junior Gold. Turbo Collegiate Expo has always been a good one to recruit at, and then Collegiate USBC, they used to have a recruiting event down in Arlington. Since COVID, it's been a little bit different, but that's been a good one too. There's a couple of other events. Recruit Us is good events to go to. I just try to get out to as many tournaments as I can to see as many kids as I can. And then what that looks like is, let's say I identify a kid that a potential a student athlete, reach out to them, have a conversation with them. Generally, the best thing is, my thing is I want them to fill out a recruiting form, and then from there, get them on campus. Their visit on campus is going to be meet with admissions. Admissions takes them on a tour. Then they meet with the coaching staff, and they usually will meet with some of the athletic department. If it's a resident student, that potential resident student, they'll end up coming on and doing a visit where they do a couple classes, and then they'll spend the night. So they'll end up generally staying with one of the players, and then we meet back up with them the next day, and we go from there. And then it's just a follow up to find out where we are with things.
Of course, going to these tournaments as a head coach, what are some of the things that you look at in those prospective student athletes while on the road?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's probably the most important question when it comes to what a coaches look for. I think it's a variety of things. Me personally, when I watch kids and potential student athletes, I'm not necessarily looking at score per se. I'm looking at during times of struggle, how are they working through their progressions? Are they getting aggravated? Are they getting mad? Are they going back to mom and dad and having a heated discussion with mom and dad? Or are they working through it themselves? And are they keeping their emotions in check? And are they kind of, grinding through? To me, that's super important. We try to make sure that we're the student athletes that we're getting, understand that this is a collegiate sport. They're not going to have the opportunity to talk to mom and dad. They have coaches right there, and you got to work it through with your coaches. At this level, mom and dad are there to cheer and kind of root things on. At the high school level, it's a little bit different, but yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at how are they interacting with the players around them. It's to me more about their attitudes and kind of how they're working through their progressions is more important to me than any score that's up there, because the environment's different everywhere they go. Every environment is challenging. Junior gold environment is probably one of the most difficult environments out there, and it's tough on kids, and I think it plays on them emotionally. So I look at stuff like that. I think that's more important.
Of course, while on the official visit, what is it like obviously seeing them fall in love with the campus and also fall in love with your facility?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's nice to have them when they come on, and we're a small a campus, with a small field. So most of the kids that that we're recruiting, they want something smaller. They want smaller class sizes, and they want to have that more personal interaction with our professors. And I think that's one of the big things that we offer is, the class sizes are going to be 12 to 15 students. You're not going to sit in lecture halls of 300-400 kids. You're not in that environment. Your professors know you. They get to know who you are personally, and they follow bowling, and they get to know, oh, hey, they're on the bowling team, and just different things like that. I think is pretty cool to see. And you can see pretty quickly when a prospective student athlete likes the place. They'll generally go into the bookstore and buy a t-shirt or something like that. And it kind of gives you a pretty good indication of where you are with them.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing your freshman put on that jersey for the first time versus as a senior putting it on for the last time?
Yeah, boy, two different ends of the spectrum right there. It's always interesting to see how my freshmen handle things. Most of my kids come from a high school bowling background, or some sort of competitive junior background. But it's different. It's a different environment. It's a different level, and you know, it's a learning curve, and generally they're very, very nervous. And it's interesting to watch how they handle it. I'm nervous for them. It's I don't try to show that I'm nervous for them, but it's just one of those things. It's like you know how different it is and the level it is. So you can only imagine how they're feeling in that situation. Um, so it's kind of unique. It's interesting. It's interesting to see how they step up to the occasion and how they handle it. And vice versa. I think it's harder seeing your seniors go through it, because it's the last of their season. It's it for them. This was the last year, and I think it plays on them in a different way too. And I know for me, it's emotionally different. Knowing that they put 4 years in, they worked really hard, they've accomplished what they've accomplished, and your events are getting closer to the end of the season. And you can see the seniors, you can see how emotional it becomes for them too. So yeah, two different ends of the spectrum. Happiness and kind of like nervousness, and then sort of sadness that it's coming to an end. For your seniors too. Um, and then you hope the best for them in the future. So
What are some of your future plans moving forward for the program?
yeah, I think for us it's kind of you know we kind of want to keep doing the same thing. We want to keep the same plan in place. We want to kind of keep going to all the best tournaments we can get to. Um, we want to try to expand out our program the best we can. I have got an excellent assistant coach, and Coach Peggy. She's starting to get a little bit more, hands-on and kind of, running more of the bowling side of it. And I'm more, doing a little bit more of the operations side, but still involved, with the bowling side of it. Um, yeah, I just think it's just keep building, keep building what we have, keep trying to do the things that we do, and kind of build and get the respect that I think we're finally getting. So
What advice would you give those high school athletes looking to play college bowling?
I would give them the advice of education is super important. Education is what helps kind of get you your scholarships. I would say, academically, the stronger you are, the more colleges are going to be able to offer you from an academic standpoint. Um, I would say educate yourself on the game. Become a student of the game, and and just learn honestly. I think this is a big thing. Learn to respect your opponent. Um, that's something I teach my players is we respect everybody we play. I think it's super important to have that respect. Um, in the long run, and I think it helps you grow as an individual. And helps you build to learn what respect is. So just because we're playing against a top ranked Division I team, um, and they're playing against us, they're going to have respect for us. We're going to have respect for them. And that's it's something that I try to teach my players is have respect for your opponent.
What advice would you give those college players looking to play professionally after collegiate?
Yeah, I would tell them that it takes a lot of work. You got to put a lot of time in. You got to put a lot of time on the lanes, educating yourself on the game. I think it's the same thing. I mean, you got to respect the sport. You got to put a lot of time in the gym. Um, And you know what? It's one of those things you got to follow your dreams too. You have that dream and you have that want, then you need to give it a try. It's not for everybody. It's a tough life. It's a tough living, but you gotta take a chance at it and you gotta take a crack at it. Then you do the right things and prepare the right way.
What advice would you give those college athletes looking to make the national team, whether to represent Team USA or Canada to go to the Olympics?
Yeah, it's same thing. It's put in the time. Go to team trials. I just had one of the girls on our team, Taylor. She just went to the Canadian team trials and just missed. So it's one of those things that you got to put the time and effort in. You have to be willing to sacrifice long days and be prepared for a tough grind. Those patterns and those environments are difficult. You got all the top players in the country at these events. So, same thing. Just prepare yourself the right way. Have a good mental outlook on it, and just take the positives, reflect on the negatives, and just move on.
What advice would you give those college coaches and even head coaches looking to get started in coaching in college bowling and starting their own program?
Be prepared for long hours. You got to go into it with a positive attitude. You got to go into it with knowing you're going to have struggles, knowing new programs. You gotta kind of fight the grind of it. I'm watching my daughter go through it right now. She just started the program at Medaille University in Rhode Island. So I'm kind of watching her go through the struggles of being a new head coach, new program, all freshmen, building the leadership. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So, go in with an open mind. You got to love the game. You got to love being in a bowling center. You have to love that environment. And, if you do, you're going to succeed at it. But you just got to be able to take the good and, kind of get the positives and reflect on the bad and the negative, but then move on from it. And there's a lot more bad than there is good in most cases. Only one team wins, on a weekend. So it's a lot of, managing emotions and every single year is different. Every player is different. And just learning how to handle that. And, over 7 or 8 years now, it's been a fun challenge to know how to handle that.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program at?
You can find our program at Medaille Bowling. We're on Facebook, and we are also on Twitter, and we are on Instagram, and it's all the same at Medaille Bowling. I am not on social media very much, but I believe it's at Jeff Walsh. Is what mine is. But I honestly can't remember. I'd rather you check out our bowling program, their social media. We live stream just about every event on our Facebook page, so you can check us out. We have a look up Medaille Bowling and check us out.
Thank you again, Jeff Walsh, for your interview and best luck in your future as the head coach for Medaille University.
Thanks for having me. Greatly appreciate it.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jeff Walsh, for your interview and best luck in your future.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Greatly appreciate it.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.